With the release of the new Alien movie Alien Romulus fast approaching, there are many fan theories, rumours and speculation out there on the internet. One of the most prevalent is, will the xenomorph from the original movie, nicknamed Big Chap, return in Alien Romulus? The last time we saw the Big Chap was at the end of the film, where it is shot by Ripley with a harpoon from a grappling gun and sucked out of the airlock of the Narcissus, then incinerated by one of the craft's rocket engines. But what if it wasn't completely incinerated, but rather blown away, if you will, from the ship, but not actually destroyed? In the novelisation and script, I believe, it is stated to be blown to pieces and explodes from the vacuum of space, but in the actual film itself, we don't actually see it destroyed to that extent. So one of the most prevalent theories of what's going to happen in Alien Romulus to introduce the xenomorphs into that film is that apparently Weyland-Yutani, or the company as they're also called, are going to somehow find the first film's alien floating through space and recover it, and then of course, being a xenomorph, manages to fight its way out of containment and propagate, and basically set in motion the rest of the plot for Alien Romulus. Although at this stage I wouldn't yet class this info as a spoiler, as it's not actually confirmed, it's very much still a rumour, so I would still take it with a pinch of salt, but it does sound interesting and like it could work. From what I've seen, fans seem to be split down the middle on the idea of this actually happening in the new film. The biggest piece of evidence to support it would be the images of the creature. In one specific shot, there is some very visible damage on the dome of the alien's head. At the front, there seems to be a big hole, and then as you get past the front, the whole rear half of it is missing, as if it was melted away perhaps. There is also this shot of some people carrying some sort of black coloured mass in another teaser released for the film, and also how out of all the xenomorph designs we've seen in subsequent films, the design here most closely resembles that of the first films, the Big Chap design as it's become known. If you're unsure where the name Big Chap comes from, it's not literally the official name of the alien, but it comes from the director Ridley Scott. During filming, he would refer to the actor Balaji Badejo when he was in costume as the Big Chap. The actor himself was 6 feet and 10 inches tall, and combined with being inside the alien suit would have been massive. When he was needed for a scene featuring the alien, Scott would say, "Bring in the Big Chap," and this nickname later carried over to refer to the alien character to differentiate it from others in later films. If you're not English, as the majority of my viewers aren't, and you're unsure what chap means, it means the same thing as guy basically, but is an English term mostly used by older people a few decades ago. Not as common nowadays, but back in the 70s it would have been more widespread, so it's pretty much the same as calling someone big guy or big man. So how could the first movie's alien be found by the characters of the latest film? Would it be plausible, as critics of the theory have said it would be too small of an object in the vastness of space, especially when they weren't sure of the exact location of the derelict, which was way bigger than one xenomorph? Well, there are some counterpoints they could use to explain them finding Big Chap floating in the void. One I've heard is that the grappling gun attached to it could have had some sort of tracking device in it, and they follow that and find it, which I guess is possible. Or, as the Narcissus wasn't too far away from the Nostromo when it self-destructed, they could have gone to its last known coordinates and begun their search from there, as they were aware of the xenomorph to some extent, so probably would have done all they could to find it. Also, bear in mind Alien is set in the future, so they would no doubt have better sonar and stuff than we have today, so something we'd write off as impossible to find in our time may not necessarily be true in the future. You may say, but they couldn't find Ripley and the Narcissus for 57 years, so if they couldn't find a whole escape shuttle, how would they find a single xenomorph? Well, something you have to keep in mind Being such an evil company as they are, they would have cared way more about finding the specimen than looking for Ripley. They may not even bother looking for her at all, but they would be way more willing to find the alien, as they wanted it for their bioweapons research. Another counter-argument is that there are some differences between the designs of the xenomorph in Alien and Alien Romulus. If you compare the released photos to the first film, yes, there are some small differences, like the face being a bit more rounded, kinda like the design in Alien Covenant, as well as the teeth and inner jaw looking different. Also, the lips, cheeks and chin areas are different too. But honestly, I think these are just things glossed over by the effects company, with it being made over 40 years later and by a different effects studio. I think they aren't that concerned with putting it under a microscope and making it 100% accurate. They probably just made it close enough for it to be recognisable enough for people to make the connection, as you have to remember these movies are mainly targeted towards normies and casuals, general audiences, not the absolute hardcore like you and me who have watched every single movie and played the video games and read comics and know all this different trivia. It's for people just going to the cinema having a good time, so I really wouldn't look into it that deep in this regard. Possibly it could even be not the Big Chap itself, but they could have cloned it or something. Perhaps they'll find its body and clone it. When compared to later films, the design of the xenomorph from Alien 1979 is actually very unique. The Big Chap is characterised by its smooth, translucent head dome, upright posture, and has the most biomechanical features out of any xenomorph. When compared to the aliens in the follow-up Aliens by James Cameron, the aliens in that movie have a different looking head and are more hunched over. Colour-wise, they have more brown patches and a blue hue due to the film's lighting. Alien 3's runner alien has a quadruped body layout, as well as no dorsal tubes and a completely brown coloration. The smooth dome returns. In Alien Resurrection, the cloned aliens actually have some human DNA mixed in from the same cross-contamination Ripley 8 had, giving her acid blood and increased strength and dexterity, as well as giving the alien queen a human womb instead of an egg sac. These xenomorphs have a more fleshy appearance and digitigrade legs with a brown colour. Due to using the same suits but painted black, the aliens in AVP share the design of Resurrection but are black instead of brown. And in AVPR, they are the same as AVP1, but the ridged head from Aliens returns. Then, as there were no true xenomorphs in Prometheus, we skipped to Covenant, where the protomorph alien looked closer to the Big Chap design but ran on all fours and was more fleshy, less biomechanical. So as for myself personally, I would say that I actually do believe it is likely that the first alien will return in Alien Romulus, and that this rumour is true, as from what I've heard and seen, that's the feeling I get, and it sounds like the sort of thing they do in a film where they really want to reference the original a lot and pay homage to it. Do I think it's a good idea? Well, I would say I'm in the middle. The idea does interest me, and I think a good script could pull it off, but on the other hand, it would be very easy for this idea to fall down the member berries trope we see a lot in movies nowadays with nostalgia so popular at the moment. But I'd love to hear what you think about this happening, and if you think it's true or not. As always, make sure to leave a like on the video for the time and effort it took me to make it, as I really do appreciate when you do that, and if you want to see more, check out one of these other videos I have on screen for you now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.